This right here is Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher claims to be over Black Lives Matter, Rhode Island. And the MAGA nuts, for the last 2 weeks, they have been loving Mark Fisher. Why? Because Mark Fisher came out publicly against Black Lives Matter and the black community, and he came out in support of Donald Trump. Here's just some of the things that he was saying.
Now to this, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Rhode Island, is endorsing former President Trump and calling out the Democrats for what he calls years of racist policies. Watch.
You know, we've been used and abused for so long. That party, they don't value our vote. Their policies are basically racist policies, and I believe it's a racist party. Donald Trump he's the opposite. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to give it to you straight. Trump has done more for the black community than any president I can think of in my lifetime.
And he's not alone in his criticism. President Biden faces dismal approval numbers among black voters in key swing states.
They have been absolutely loving this man. And I guess Donald Trump just found out about this endorsement. He came out and he truthed this. Spoke with Mark Fisher yesterday, a great guy, very honored to have his and Black Lives Matter's support. For years, he's been dogging Black Lives Matter. Yeah, remember when he came out of the White House with his militiamen and his supporters in his administration, and he sprayed all of the protesters down who were protesting the death of George Floyd. Remember that? And I have done more for black people than any other president. Lincoln ? Including 10-year funding for historically black colleges and universities where they had none. HBCUs has always had federal funding. Donald Trump did nothing more for HBCUs than any other president before him. When all of the presidents from HBCUs went to Washington to meet with Donald Trump, they were sorely disappointed. It was a photo op. He did nothing. He did nothing. I work in higher education. I know what went down. Our budgets didn't change. But he and his supporters keep telling this lie. 10-year funding for historically black colleges. That is nothing different. Every president does this. Where they had none. Opportunity zones, criminal justice reform, and much more. Thank you to Mark. What criminal justice reform did Donald Trump do? Because during his presidency, Breonna Taylor was still murdered. During his presidency, George Floyd was still murdered, right? Ahmaud Arbery was still murdered, right? And so many more. And think about the ones that we don't know their names, right? What criminal justice reform did Donald Trump do? But yeah, he's thanking Mark for his, support. And like my mutual Coach D said, for years, his supporters have dogged out Black Lives Matter. And now he's honored to have the support of Black Lives Matter. I know the Trump supporters are like, what do we do now? What are we going to do? What do we do with this? Anywho, Black Lives Matter Rhode Island came out with a statement. You'll get a kick out of this. In response to recent media coverage, we would like to clarify that Mark Fisher is not and has never been affiliated with our organization. The views expressed by Mr. Fisher in the referenced Fox News segment do not reflect the values or beliefs of Black Lives Matter Rhode Island PAC. Who is Mark Fisher? Who is he? Because they don't know him. The statement goes on. We would like to emphasize that Mark Fisher claims association with Black Lives Matter Rhode Island, a non-profit organization. Any statements or actions attributed to him should not be conflated with our organization. And finally, Black Lives Matter Rhode Island says, we are disappointed by the association between Mark Fisher and former President Trump, as expressed in the Fox News interview. BLM Rhode Island PAC remains focused on our mission to create positive change through advocacy, education, and community engagement. Black Lives Matter Rhode Island said, we don't know her. We don't know her. But this is what this is what we've been doing, and this is what we are going to continue to do. We don't know her. We don't know her. And yeah, their views are their views. That's not our views. I hear you, Black Lives Matter. Those ain't my views either. And lastly, how much was the check? Y'all know a check has to be involved for Mr. Mark Fisher, right? How much was the check for Mr. Mark Fisher to come out with this facade, with this lie, and turn on who he claims to have been a part of, as well as the black community? How much was the check? Yeah, sometimes it doesn't take much though.